Pamoja na umashuhuri wa mnyama huyu faru kuwepo katika hatari ya kutoweka, lakini mnyama faru ametajwa kuwa miongoni mwa wanyama waliopo katika kundi la the big five, na hivyo watalii wengi wanaokuja katika ardhi ya Tanzania kwa shughuli ya utalii hutamani kumuona faru, na hasa akiwa katika maeneo yake ya asili. Pamoja nami nipo na moja ya wadau kutoka sekta binafsi ambao wamekuwa wakijishughulisha na masuala ya uhifadhi wa faru, lakini na kuangalia ustawi wao katika ardhi ya Tanzania. Huyu anaitwa Ryan. Mr. Ryan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Very good to see you again.
Thank you very much. How are you?
Very well, and very happy to be here.
Now, straightforward to the topic. We have this special day, 22nd of September. Every year is a World Rhino Day. Is it so necessary to have such a special day for rhino?
Yes, it's very necessary because rhino all over Africa was almost extinct, but through very good conservation efforts, including that here in Tanzania, they're climbing out of that danger zone. However, we can never say they're out of it completely. We will constantly have to be very aware that rhino species in Africa is endangered and need all the attention and all the protection so that they can survive for everyone to see years to come.
Apart from the government, we have the peripheral or private sector, private stakeholders to make sure rhinos are there alive today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. What are the efforts? What is the commitment of the private sector, private stakeholders like you, to join the effort of the government to make sure rhinos are there?
Frankfurt Zoological Society, or FZS as we call it here, has been involved in conservation in Tanzania for 60 years, mostly in the Serengeti. But in 1995, I was very privileged then to become involved in the rhino project in Ngorongoro. Ngorongoro then still had about 12 rhinos left, and we expanded the project to Serengeti, where there was a few rhinos left in the Moru area. From that time, Frankfurt Zoological Society has supported the government, or supported the Napa and the Ngorongoro Conservation Authority in their efforts to protect. In the beginning, the resources were not enough, the knowledge was not there. Frankfurt Zoological Society ensured that technology, knowledge from outside were brought in, so that the local authorities were trained in that they gained the knowledge how to look after the rhino. And from there, constantly they have supported the efforts. Whenever there is flying, an aircraft or a helicopter needed, or new cars, we constantly do maintenance of the cars that is protecting the rhino. So the private sector is there, like Frankfurt Zoological Society, to support the authorities to do their conservation.
Suppose we don't have any rhino on the ecological system of Serengeti and wherever where the rhinos are kept. What will be the impact of not having the rhino in the ecological systems?
Well, in any ecological system, every animal or tree or plant plays its role. It's important it is there. It's there for a reason. If we look at the ecology of the Serengeti, rhinos plays a big part in opening areas, in having a presence in that ecosystem. If we go to tourism, which is very important to maintain these conservation areas and very important for Tanzania, then rhino, black or white, is one of the main attractions for tourists to see a rhino in the wild. It's a magnificent animal. It's an animal that is so different to all the other in that national park or in that protected area in the wild, that it is a very, very important animal for people to come and see and travel great distances and will pay big money to be able to say, I have seen a live rhino in the wild with all the other wild animals around it.
Rhino kwa maana ya faru ametajwa kuongeza nakshi ya kuvutia watalii kuja katika ardhi ya Tanzania. Na hapa nipo na moja ya wadau kutoka sekta binafsi ambaye yeye ana uzoefu katika eneo hili. Yes, Mr. Ryan. You have told me that you have been supporting the government in all the process of keeping the rhinos. Do you see any positive impact of your support?
Yes, definitely. As I said, we very honored myself, who started in 1995 with a very few rhinos. Ngorongoro had rhinos, Moro had rhinos, they were far apart. Today we see the Serengeti ecosystem as one of the most important free-roaming rhino populations in Africa, which means rhinos are moving everywhere. There's no fences between Serengeti and Ngorongoro or Mashwa or Karongo. Rhinos are dispersing everywhere. Of course, the success of the rhino population growing bring other challenges in protection and monitoring for the different organizations. It is also a challenge that the Serengeti ecosystem is managed by 3 different authorities, Tawa, Tanapa and Ngorongoro conservation area, each one with its own mandate and its own way of conservation. Sometimes they look out different from each other. So with all of them responsible for looking after that rhino population, Frankfurt Zoological Society play a role because we work with all 3 institutions. So it plays a role in helping each other to see what the other is doing with monitoring techniques, with flying in protection. And what we've seen with the growth of the rhino population now occupying almost the whole ecosystem, and with the different organizations responsible for protecting this population, we've seen a huge step forward, how they cooperate, how they work together. That is why the rhino coordinator into the national rhino coordinator for Tanzania is so important, because he also works with all 3 of these organizations, making sure their aim, their strategy and their success is one. And that is for the protection of this very important rhino population in the ecosystem.
Pamoja na mambo mengine, mnyama huyu ameonekana kuwa kivutio kikubwa cha watalii, na heko kwa taasisi au mamlaka zote ambazo zimekuwa zikishiriki katika uhifadhi wa mnyama huyu. Mamlaka ya hifadhi ya Ngorongoro, shirika la hifadhi la taifa Tanzania kwa maana ya TANAPA, mamlaka ya usimamizi wa wanyamapori Tanzania kwa maana ya TAWA, lakini ipo taasisi ya utafiti wa wanyamapori Tanzania kwa maana ya TAWIRI, kwa kushirikiana na wizara. Wadau hawa binafsi wameonyesha mchango mkubwa wa kuhakikisha mnyama faru anakuepo leo, kesho na kesho kutwa. We have the theme of this year, keep the 5 alive. What does this theme mean, or which message does it portray to the public?
It means that all over Africa, every country in Africa must take responsibility to protect and to ensure that the species that is in its area can continue to grow, and if it's there for our children to see. There's different challenges in different areas. There's different species in different countries. But as a rhino population of Africa, we must ensure that white rhino, black rhino, different subspecies survive, and there's enough resources, enough things put in place to ensure that they can continue to be the 5 rhino species of Africa.
Hii ni Kadoshi TV, always on time.